Spurs fans, I know a lot of you don't like to talk about this, but there is a chance Gregg Popovich does not return to coach next season. And if he doesn't, we start looking at possible replacements.
Go, Spurs, go, 'cause the Giants stink.
What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans? Welcome to TSR Sports. Hope you're having a great weekend. And I caught an article from Air Alamo this morning talking about the 4 possible candidates or future head coaches for the Spurs right here. And I was like, you know what? Let's go over the article together, and I'll give my thoughts on all of them at the end of the article. Of course, drop a comment down below your thoughts on any of these particular folks. You want them, you don't want them, and why. The Spurs will have endless options if Coach Pop doesn't return. True. As Pop's future remains uncertain, the front office could begin respectfully considering potential candidates to replace him. And I'll just say this. If he doesn't come back as head coach, I think he's staying with the Spurs as part of the front office. I don't see that. That won't end until Pop is no longer with us or physically unable to do it. He's going to be with the Spurs organization, I think, as long as possible. Interim head coach Mitch Johnson is at the top of the list due to his strong relationship with the organization and his ability to keep the Spurs competitive this season. Okay, not so competitive in January, but I digress. We'll talk about Mitch in a few moments. He has a few questionable lineup mishaps. Again, we'll talk about Mitch in a few moments, but you could consider this a learning curve for him. Okay, that's fair. He certainly was not ready to be head coach. He's thrown into the role. Do your best. Okay. Former Spurs assistant and current head coach of the WNBA's Las Vegas Aces, I believe 2-time champion Las Vegas Aces, Becky Hammon is a name frequently mentioned in connection with the potential coaching vacancy. Yes, she is. Offensive masterminds James Borrego and the recently unemployed from the Memphis Grizzlies with 9 games remaining, Taylor Jenkins, will also be among the most sought-after names this summer. Each has their own ties with the Spurs. We'll circle back to that in just a few moments. But how about this? An ex-NBA champion could be just what this young team needs. Ex-NBA champion, wait a minute, TSR. Manu Ginobili? Tim Duncan? David Robinson? Tony Parker? Who are we talking about here? None of the above. But a change in identity is exactly what this team needs, and their pick here is Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell has been assistant coach in the NBA for nearly 2 decades and should have been a head coach before John Cena got his bald spot. John Cena has a bald spot. I can't see him, so I don't know. All right, bad joke. Over the years, Cassell's been praised for his efforts as an assistant, demonstrating he has the skills necessary to lead a team. Okay? Cassell's a 4-time NBA champion. Like that, he won back-to-back titles with the Houston Rockets in the mid-90s. That's when Akeem the Dream was running ripshot over everybody those 2 years, was just unstoppable with the Dream Shake. He was a reserve off the bench, but still got 2 championships there. And then claimed another championship at the end of his playing career with the Boston Celtics in 2008. His 4th title came with the Celtics championship run last summer, during which he was in his 2nd season as an assistant coach with the team. The resume looks good so far, right? Sam Cassell can address a specific area of need for San Antonio. The Spurs have been one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the NBA over the last 5 years. Cassell would bring his sharp shooting techniques, he has a good 3-point shooter, or was, along with the valuable experience he gained with the Celtics, who have been the best 3-point shooting team in the NBA since 2021. Yeah, all right, so far this is all sounding really good, isn't it? Cassell's adaptability is another significant advantage over other candidates, as he can connect well with this young roster. Few understand the fast-paced lifestyle of the NBA and the importance of maintaining discipline better than a 15-year veteran. Touché? It remains to be seen whether Pop will retire. There is a strong possibility that he will still be at the center of it all before the 25-26 season. And I got to say, and I've said this before, there's a lot of analysis, reporters, whatever, TV programs saying Pop probably won't come back because of his age and the health issue. And if I was Pop, that would drive me to work harder and to come back, even if only for 1 season, to prove to people that, yes, I can still do this. You're saying I can't, I'm saying I can right here. So I think he'll probably be back next season. But if he doesn't, gotta look at our options. Fans would love to see the beloved head coach return to San Antonio. However, many also recognize that several candidates could make a significant impact on the franchise's future, with Cassell standing out above them all. All right, let me talk about all the coaches that they just talked about. Here would be 5 total. Mitch Johnson, I didn't put him on the thumbnail, honestly forgot him. Oh well, sorry Mitch. So what do I think? Sam Cassell sounds great on paper. He's a coach on the defending NBA champions. He had a very good career as a point guard, a 3-time champion as a player, 1-time All-Star, and made an All-NBA second team. He also has lived in Texas before with his 3 seasons with the Rockets. Yeah, not a name I've thought of about head coach for the San Antonio Spurs, but if they announced if Pop can't come back, Sam Cassell's the new head coach, yeah, sounds good to me. He would be the oldest candidate out of these four, and including Mitch, he's 55, but I'd be on board with that. It sounds good. Becky Hammon. Track record speaks for itself. She has huge ties to San Antonio. From 2007 to 2014, she played for the San Antonio Stars in the WNBA. And then after that, she came to the San Antonio Spurs and was an assistant coach from 2014 to 21. I don't know if she was a champion as a player. I don't remember, but she was definitely a champion as an assistant coach with the Spurs. And I think two-time WNBA champion head coach back-to-back seasons. So, yeah, resume speaks for itself. Huge ties to San Antonio. Becky Hammon, the coach of the Spurs, we're good. As far as these other two knuckleheads, I digress. I'm kidding. James Borrego. I forgot he was an assistant with us from 2003 to 2010. So he's got ties to the Spurs. He was a head coach for the Hornets for 4 years, and they compiled a 138 and 163 record. But it's also the Hornets who are just bad all the time. He did have a winning record in his last season, a few games over 500. But I don't know a lot about him, but this would be a maybe. I certainly would be upset if the Spurs go that direction. Now the guy above me, Taylor Jenkins. He's the youngest out of these four at 40 years old. He was an assistant with the Austin Toros from 2008 and 2012, and then the head coach the next season in Austin. If you're not familiar with the Austin Toros, that's what the Austin Spurs are now. I do have concerns with his recent firing. The timing, 9 games left in the season. What's the full story? I feel like we're not getting that. Don't you guys? Like something must have happened and we don't know everything yet. And that does concern me. When you have a playoff team on their way, who knows how far they make it, right? Anything can happen in the playoffs. And your head coach, gone. Why? What was so bad he had to go? I don't know. I saw something about them wanting to move on to a different coach, but that one concerns me. So I'm probably going to say no on that. Just because of that, I don't, something just, that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And then last but not least, or maybe least in your books, Mitch Johnson. You know, a week ago, this would have been an absolute hard no. No way. Not going to happen. And still, his lineups have me scratching my head. We were going against a team last night with 2 7-footers in the Celtics, and Bismack Biyombo's on the bench. We're going small ball. I've seen center, we've talked about it, center Sohan, center Barnes, center Johnson. Keldon's 6'5", 6'6", way too small to be playing center. His rotations definitely have me confused. However, the team has been better lately, and so has he. They lost to the aforementioned Cavs and Celtics, but they put up a good fight and didn't get blown out, which, I'll be honest with you, I was really worried one or not both of those games are going to be a blowout. So with Mitch, sure, I'm leaning towards a no, but I also want to see how they finish the season. And if he hasn't, playing well and competing, maybe not winning. We're playing a lot of playoff teams, but if I keep seeing them competing and playing some defense, I might not be totally opposed to it. Let's not forget the first year Pop took over the Spurs. I think he was an interim coach. Wasn't he back in 96, 97? The Spurs were decimated with injuries. David Robinson was out for all but 6 games. Sean Elliott missed a lot of the season. Kind of like what Mitch is doing right now, just getting thrown into the head coaching spot. And the Spurs, that was the worst Spurs team of all time. 20-62. Ended up working out pretty good for Gregg Popovich in the long run. So if they go with Mitch, I just hope I see, we only have 9 games left, but hopefully if the team fights and we see something the rest of the way and they decide to go with him, especially Pop. Pop's going to have, I got to think, a huge say in this. Somebody's going to need his endorsement. If Pop has seen enough of Mitch and says yes, then I'm going to have to be all in, right? I'm not going to sit here and whine for months on end that Mitch Johnson's the head coach. I'm like, all right, you're our guy. I'm going to root for you. I'm certainly going to criticize him during the games if I see him mess up or not challenging calls, but I'll be all right. I'm all in on the Johnson. And last but not least, I just want to throw this out there, Spurs fans. If any legends become a Spurs head coach, Manu, Timmy, etc., then Avery Johnson, yes, I'm all in. I'm like, okay, former Spurs player, former champion that was with us, great. Let's see what they can do. Okay, that's all I got. Drop a comment down below. Out of these 4, which one would you pick? Or is there somebody else you'd rather? Do you think there's a chance one of those Spurs legends could be a head coach? I don't personally, but we'll see. Or, hey, I'm going to throw this out there. Chris Paul. You guys talked about Chris Paul joining the coaching staff. Would you like to see him go from player to head coach? Let me know. Be very curious what your thoughts are on this. Hit the thumbs up, like, support the channel. See you tonight for the Spurs and the Warriors. I think it's 7 p.m. Eastern. Have a great weekend. Thank you, and as always, Oh, what? Subscribe to. Did I subscribe? I don't think so. Subscribe to become part of our awesome Spurs community. Thank you, and as always, go Spurs, go.
Go Spurs, go. 'Cause the Giants